Hey guys, Dennis here, the production manager for AMC, and we're here on Saturday to do the AMC mailbag, and I'm being joined by the lovely Amy Rose. How are you doing?
I'm feeling a little better. I'm off my deathbed. Thank you for everyone that gave me some love yesterday. I felt really great, and apologies for all this, and if my thoughts are not as articulate as I'd like them to be, but I'm holding in there. Holding on. All right, let's jump in. Phil W. writes, "Hello AMC Movie Talk. I was wondering if you think there is a chance that Robert Redford might turn out to be a villain in Captain America 2. Maybe he was the one telling Winter Soldier what to do. It looks like he is up to something in the trailer." What do you think about that?
I think it's a possibility. It definitely, when you watch the trailer, they kind of make it a little like some sort of mystery going on with Robert Redford's character. However, I don't want that to happen. I think it would be kind of cheesy if it's like, dun, 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 Robert Redford is the villain. But I do hope that there's some sort of mystery or nuance to his character in the sense of maybe he's not totally good, but maybe he's not totally bad, and he's kind of in that gray area.
Yeah, it definitely felt a little implied because he just, I don't know, he was presented in just that light, but he also was just presented in a very authoritative light, just like, yeah, I just also think that's Robert Redford. He just kind of has that energy about him, you know, like, don't mess with me. And we haven't seen him in a while in this kind of form. And I don't know, I feel like maybe he was part of, like, he found out that Bucky wasn't actually dead. And then maybe he was part of the whole backstory to get that happening.
Yeah, like to bring him back.
Yeah.
And imbue him with whatever powers that he has.
Yeah. I think it's possible, but I don't know. I'm okay if it happened either way, but I do think it was kind of implied. But we know that with Marvel, they're so smart that maybe they are trying to just do misdirection, and he is just going to be, you know, a senior member of S.H.I.E.L.D. like we've been told he is, you know? So we'll see. But I did really like the trailer. I know I didn't get a chance to talk about it.
What did you think of the trailer? Because you weren't on yesterday's show.
I thought it was solid. You know, when I was at D23, they showed the elevator scene. And I do think it's a really interesting partnership, Cap with Black Widow, because they do have such different moral codes. So I do think it's going to be really interesting to see them together. And I just think it looks good. I think the Russos are going to do a really good job. The tone was really cool. I do agree that the music kind of sucked, which is so funny. Like, horror movies, that's what they're all about. It's the music. So if you mess up the music and anything else, it has the same effect, negative effect. But overall, I thought it was really good. I'm excited to see more of the Winter Soldier going head-to-head with Cap and the Falcon. I mean, we didn't really get to see him too much, but I love Anthony Mackie. That was like the most ridiculous interview at Comic-Con.
Yeah, that you had with him at Comic-Con.
It's like, Falcon, out, and he dropped it.
And he was challenging Iron Man. He's like, oh yeah, I'll beat up Iron Man.
Yeah, I'll take you, Iron Man. We're like, okay. So yeah, I thought it was a good trailer overall. I'm really excited about it, and I do think we'll know a lot more once we see the second full-length trailer to see kind of the tone they're setting. This one was just to whet our appetites, and I think it did a really good job at that.
All right, and let's move on to the next question. Veronica Wierbik, sorry if I butcher that name, writes, "Hey guys, I've been watching the show for months and it's absolutely brilliant. I want to ask you guys about the new sci-fi film Ender's Game. You've not really talked about it on the show, and I think it looks fab. Do you think the film will be a success considering the fan base of the book and the star-studded cast? The special effects look cool and the plot is fascinating and fresh compared to other sci-fi films. Plus, do you think Asa Butterfield is ready to become a major young Hollywood star? I think he is amazing. Thank you guys. Keep up the great work. You all rock." So, Amy Rose, what are your thoughts about Ender's Game?
So I read the book, and I really liked it. I thought it presented a lot of really interesting themes. I love the sci-fi genre in general. Harrison Ford, Ben Kingsley, you're right about a star-studded cast. And I think that Asa has already become an amazing force to be reckoned with as a young actor. I mean, other than Hugo, which was wonderful, but I don't know if a lot of you have seen The Boy with the Striped Pajamas.
No, I haven't seen that.
Talk about ripping your heart out of your chest, but he was the lead, and
I have it on my Netflix queue.
It's definitely a film you need to watch. You know, World War II, Nazi regime, like, it's heavy, but it is so amazingly done. And I mean, I looked up his name after the film. I was like, who is this star? And I saw that a couple years ago. And I just think he's so talented, he's so convincing, and he's very intelligent, you can tell. I don't really think he has charisma, per se, because he kind of is, you know, a bit stoic, and you can just feel his intelligence when he does interviews and stuff. But I do think that he takes this very, very seriously, and as a leading actor, I do think he'll do really great, because Ender Wiggin is a very interesting character. He's very complex, and I don't want to reveal too much for those that did not read the book, but I do think it's good. And, you know, Gavin Hood needs to redeem himself a little bit from Wolverine. Most of us did not enjoy that film, and you would be right. But I do think visually it could be cool, and, you know, I haven't seen it yet. Our own Chrisley did.
Yes, and she really liked it.
She liked it a lot. So yeah, I wouldn't say I have high hopes for this, because I'm not gonna lie, I don't think the trailers were that captivating.
No.
They kind of fell flat a little bit for me. But the story's interesting enough, the cast is incredible, and I do have faith in Gavin from his earlier work, not Wolverine. I don't think one bad film destroys a whole career. So yeah, I do want to see it, but I can't say I have sky-high expectations. They're kind of right here. What about you?
Yeah, I didn't read the full book, but I did read the short story that eventually turned into the book, and I really liked that. Yeah, the trailers just haven't really excited me that much, and you know, I've been hearing mixed things, and you know, people that I've talked to have seen it. Some of them or they said there's good things about the movie. Yeah, they're not necessarily sold on the movie as a whole, but there is good stuff in it. And you're right, the cast is great. Asa Butterfield. The only thing I've ever seen him before this was Hugo, and I thought he was good in that. Yeah. He has the talent.
He does. Another Ben Kingsley pairing, because he was in that too, obviously.
Yeah. So hopefully, you know, maybe he'll get more versatile roles. Yeah. And then maybe he can show off a different side of himself. And then I think from there, then he can become maybe something bigger.
There's also a lot of controversy about the author.
Yes.
So I think that might hurt it. I mean, we make it very clear on our show that we do a pretty good job at separating, you know, talent and work from the individual. I know a lot of people don't do that as easily, so I think that might hurt.
Orson Scott Card, and his views.
His views.
Yes.
Yes, very politically correct there. Yeah, so that might hurt overall ticket sales, but for the most part, I think the cast and the sci-fi genre will make it do decent at the box office.
All right.
All right, what's next? Matthew Lemke writes, "Hello AMC Movie Talk, Matthew Lemke here. I am your biggest fan." Well, thank you, sir. "I would like to know, why didn't the Terminator Salvation movie did not get a sequel? I heard one day when they were talking to Bale about a sequel, it sounded like they were going to continue moving forward with the movie. Was this true?" Huh.
Terminator Salvation is actually one of those movies that I was very looking forward to and was very disappointed. Because I thought the trailers looked great. And with the 9 Inch Nails song, at that time, Sarah Connor Chronicles was on air, and I loved that show. And so when that movie was coming out, I was like, man, this looks great. I saw it. And yeah, it was pretty, it's weird because like the visuals were really cool, but then everything else, and even with like the acting, like it just, I don't know. Everyone just seemed to be shouting in that movie. But regardless of what I thought of the movie, the reason why there's no sequel is it didn't really make that much money. It cost about $200 million. It made $125 domestically and $375 overall worldwide, which isn't like horrible, but I'm thinking like something like Pacific Rim was under $200 million budget. It hit a little over 400 worldwide, and they're thinking about doing a sequel. Yeah. So with Terminator Salvation, they're like, I don't know if it's worth the risk. And so I think that's why they didn't go forward with the sequel.
And a lot of people like us did not really like it. Yeah. I mean, I thought the tone that Mick G set was really cool. You know, post-apocalyptic kind of vibe, and I thought that was all great. But yeah, everyone was shouting. I think you nailed it. It was just like overacting. I think Christian Bale is one of the best actors we have out there today.
Yes.
And he was overacting, and it didn't work for me. There were so many plot holes, and I mean, Terminator 2 still remains in my top 10 favorite films of all time. I love this world, but it didn't feel like that to me, and B, it felt flat. I wanted to love it, and I agree, trailers can be so misleading.
Yeah.
It's such a disappointment. So yeah, I don't think there should be, but we are getting a 5th Terminator film. Arnold is coming back, never a bad idea. And hopefully Cameron and everyone will be involved still, as it looks like they will be. So I'm excited for that. I don't think Terminator Salvation left a bad enough taste in my mouth where I've given up on the franchise by any means, but I don't want them to continue that part of the storyline. I'm ready for something fresh. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. All right, before we move on to the next question, we actually are going to play a little interview that John Campia did last week when he was in Vegas with Johnny Knoxville and Jackson Nickel from the movie Bad Grandpa, Jackass Presents Bad Grandpa, which opens this weekend. You can check it out right here.
Congratulations on the movie. It's really quite funny. But I'm here in Vegas last night, and I was talking to a young woman, and we were talking about the film. She said, I've seen the trailers for that. It looks so funny. But what is it? So how would you describe to somebody asking you, what is Bad Grandpa?
Well, in a short description, it's a prank movie with a loose narrative. And a little bit longer description, you get all the outrageousness and pranks and stunts of a Jackass film, but we attached a Paper Moon type narrative. And I think you're going to be surprised at how invested you'll be in mine and Billy's relationship in it. So,
how would you, if your friends ask you what is Bad Grandpa about, what do you tell them? How do you describe the movie?
They haven't asked me that, but if they did, it would probably be Louis or Dominic, but
sorry.
They would probably ask, what is Bad Grandpa? And I would probably say, it's a movie that you should not see, and you'd probably like it.
One of the things that astounds me watching it, and that I catch myself sometimes in the movie watching it, forgetting that it's you. I mean, this whole transformation you go through to become Irving, what was that process like for you?
About 3 hours every morning, and 5 hours if I had the chest and back on. But yeah, and then I didn't do it anymore. But it ended up, I dreaded it at first, but after a while it turned into a plus because I would just sit in the chair and think about what we're doing that day and write every day. So it ended up really helping us.
Now, when I was watching the movie, I sometimes forgot it was him because I just thought it was the Bad Grandpa. Did you sometimes forget that it wasn't actually Johnny, or were you always aware of that?
When we're filming?
Yeah.
I don't forget, but I have to try to because I have to remember I'm Billy and he's Irving. So when I'm filming, and if I forget he's Irving, I say, hey Johnny, why don't we just do that in yellow, and then people will start taking pictures.
One of my favorite things about the film, and that you've done in a lot of other different things as well, is the comedy, the humor, and the impact of the movie isn't just with the gags and the stunts and stuff like that. Half of it is that, and that's where the laughs come from. But also there's this wonderful, delicious, unbearable social awkwardness that you guys create with the people around you that is just so fun to watch. When you guys are doing that, do you ever feel like, oh my gosh, these poor people? Or like, how do you feel about that when you're seeing the reactions you're creating with the people around you?
The only time like in the estate sale when the bed malfunctioned on me, that lady was so scared. She was so nervous that we had to calm her down a little because you don't want someone to,
Which lady?
The lady who did the adjustable bed at the estate sale. She got really nervous.
She almost had a heart attack.
I remember watching the film and just putting myself in their situation, thinking, I don't know how I would react. When you're creating these scenes and when you're shooting the movie, do you have a reaction that you're hoping to get from people, or are you just kind of sitting back almost like an observer and just waiting to see how it unfolds?
Well, you want them to get involved. You want them to try to change the situation.
Definitely like the penguin guy.
What's that?
Definitely the penguin.
Oh yeah, he was a great reaction. And it's just different. You just want them to be involved and engaged, and you want them to become a little emotional and then irrational, and then they're hooked and you can go anywhere with them.
Now, I love the way you described what the film is and attaching the loose narrative, as you call. Where did the idea for the film come? Like, what made you think that doing a full feature, attaching a loose narrative to it, how did that all come about to give us Bad Grandpa?
Well, the studio suggested it 8 years ago, and I didn't see it then. But when we finally got around to talking about how we would do a whole movie with the Bad Grandpa character, having a loose narrative, specifically like Paper Moon, was our best guess. You know, so that's what we went with, and it worked out. It was tough because working the story and into the pranks and just figuring it out as we went, really. But I'm really proud of the film and really proud of this guy, even though he just terrorizes me constantly.
Now, sometimes he was so good in the movie that sometimes I forgot that he was actually Johnny.
You already said that.
But when we're watching you, a lot of people, we all forgot that you're not actually his grandson. You were so good in this movie and making us forget that you're actually acting in the film. What was your favorite part about making this movie?
1, 2, 3. Beauty pageant.
Beauty pageant.
How long did you have to practice to get ready for that?
I think about 2 months each.
2 months?
Yeah, for the routine.
Then I had to practice a couple weeks more with all the clothes on. Because whenever I tear it off, sometimes it would go down to my ankles. And then when I went like that, it would all hit me in the face.
Getting you caught in your wig. There's a lot to it, and I mean, he just pulled it off amazingly.
That's why I had to, like, throw it.
Right. It was such a funny scene, and you were so good in it. Now, a lot of AMC audience members have been getting excited for this film. Put your salesman hat on for a second. Why are AMC audiences going to love going to see Bad Grandpa?
Well, you will get all the outrageous pranks of a jackass film, but it really has
A story to it.
a story and a lot of heart in the story, and you're going to love the relationship between Irving and Billy. And it's unlike a movie you've ever seen before.
How would you describe it? Why do you think everybody's going to love this movie?
Because all the pranks that people like to do, these are twice as good. Like, Johnny gets his you-know-what stuck in a Coke machine, and then he
Way to sell the film, kid.
So he's like this, and then he falls back like that, and then a guy has to push him.
Well, listen, guys, congratulations on the film. It's really funny. We can't wait to have it on AMC screens.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, so yeah, Bad Grandpa opens this weekend. You can check out the movie times on amctheaters.com and get your movie tickets there. So let's get on to the next question here. Lee Chang writes, "Hey guys, love your show and keep up the good work. So I have a question about how comic book movies are being made, particularly Iron Man 3 and Man of Steel. For example, my girlfriend, who has no knowledge of anything related to comics, loved Iron Man 3 and thought the Mandarin twist, humor, and everything else was really well done. But when we watched Man of Steel, she hated it, saying it was a snooze fest until the end when Superman and Zod obliterated Metropolis. However, my best friend, on the other hand, who is a comic book fanboy like myself, loved Man of Steel and hated Iron Man 3. Mostly because of the same reason that she loved it. So I wonder, is it smarter for a studio like Marvel to make movies that gear more towards the general audience while slightly nudging the more vocal yet smaller comic book community, risking the chance of losing face with the people who grew up idolizing their characters in the process? Your thoughts, Amy Rose?"
I think that's a very interesting question. I do. I think that, again, it's a case-by-case basis. I think that in some aspects, you know, Shane Black, who did Iron Man, he knew what he was doing with that Mandarin twist. It's not like he didn't know it was going to upset a lot of people. And he is a true fan of this universe and the source material. And he was working with Stan Lee and a bunch of people that, you know, thought maybe it would be a fun twist. And, you know, the real Mandarin was Eldritch anyway. So that whole thing, you know, maybe, I know it pissed off a lot of people, but it's not like they don't realize the ripple effect this is going to take with people, you know? And so I feel like there's a happy medium. I mean, on one hand, yes, we want them to honor, you know, this universe that we grew up with and or such a part with and so involved, like some of our best friends growing up, you know? But on the other hand, they do have to make it commercial. They do have to make it appeal to that wide audience. So I think it's both. I mean, my mom, very hip mom, loved Man of Steel, and she didn't read the comic books. And so I don't really think that it's that black and white. I think a lot of the times it might be. And, you know, a lot of the big question, if you haven't seen Man of Steel by now, I'm sorry. So this is not a spoiler. This is fair game. But a lot of people had a problem with, you know, would Superman kill? Like the whole end part. And while that might have strayed from the majority, it was still present in, you know, other source material dealing with the same character. So I feel like, you know, even in Christopher Nolan's Batman universe, a lot of people are like, well, that's not the Batman from the comics, but he still did a really good job. I mean, people are always going to have an opinion about everything. I mean, I feel that way about my books. Reading any book or comic or anything that's adapted to the big screen, some things are lost in translation because not all of it would work, or they have to make it appeal to where we're at now in the world. So I do think there's some correlation to that, but I don't think they should take so many liberties where it doesn't even feel like the characters we grew up with. That would really piss me off. So I do think there's a happy medium by trying to be as true as we can to the source material, and if they have to take liberties, taking the ones that aren't going to piss off so many fans but are going to bring in new fans. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a tightrope that they have to walk. It's a line that they have to balance because they don't want to piss off the smaller minor vocal minority of the comic book fans because they're going to be the loudest, they're going to complain, and so they don't want to, like at Comic-Con, if they show, let's say, some footage, all of a sudden the comic book fans are like, that's not right, blah, 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 blah. That's going to, you know, go through the internet and buzz around to the general audience. And so they don't want to do that. But at the same time, if you took just only the comic book fans, like the comic book fans, and they, you know, only they saw a movie, that is not going to pay for the movie.
No.
I'm sorry. I mean, I know a lot of people out there think like, oh yeah, they need to make it, you know, for the comic book fans. Sorry, like every single comic book fan out there went to go see like a Superman or Iron Man 3, it would lose money. It just costs too much to make a movie like that. The general audience needs to see it, and so therefore they want to please the general audience. And I agree with you that the best way to do it is try and you know, make it as close as possible to the original, you know, and take liberties, like you said, when they have to, and don't make it like indistinct or make it like totally different from the original. But at the same time, they really have to keep it open for everyone.
And unlike Zack Snyder, I mean, in an interview about that, about the whole, like, would Superman kill? I mean, again, he knew what he was doing. So as long as there's people that are protecting this realm who aren't just like, let's just make him kill, let's change all this, or do whatever, as long as they're taking these decisions very seriously and know the ripple effect it's going to, I at least, you know, can respect that. Even if I don't agree with the decision, I can at least respect that they really are thinking about how many people this is going to affect, that there are going to be some fanboys that are pissed off, and that there's going to be some new audience members that probably like that change, that won't get it. You know, as long as they're really trying to do justice, I can at least respect it.
All right, what's next?
What's next? Jamal Pulliam writes, "Hi AMC Movie Talk, I love your show. You guys rock. My question is, in your opinion, what would you think if James Cameron was going to direct the Justice League movie? Keep up the awesome work."
I think it would be great. I don't think he'd ever do it. You know, he's more interested in his own works like Avatar. I know
Avatar Forever.
Yes, which, you know, he's not just doing his trilogy. He's doing like 4 and 5. And I guess he's interested in Battle Angel Alita. So I don't think it'll ever happen. Now, hypothetically, if he did, I mean, James Cameron is one of the best action directors ever.
It's amazing.
Ever.
Yeah.
People may complain about, you know, some of his writing,
yeah,
you know, some of his dialogue and stuff like that, but no one can fault him for not bringing the action.
Yeah.
I mean, Terminator 2, Aliens, True Lies.
Even The Abyss, man.
Abyss. Avatar. I mean, all the action's great in there.
It is.
So I think it would be fantastic. Maybe get someone else to write it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, I think a lot of people are not giving Cameron enough credit because Avatar, because they were just like, why do people love this movie? Again, it's not the plot. on the show discussed how many movies it feels like. Pocahontas, Ferngully the Lost Rainforest, Dances with Wolves. There's so many other references that could feel that way. But again, it wasn't for the plot that people liked this movie. It was for the amazing effects and just achievement in technology, and I feel like that's what Cameron is really good at. I mean, he's always really ahead of his time with filmmaking. He's great at action, all those films you just named. He's also really great at characters, and that's what Justice League is going to be about, you know, and I feel like that's what Marvel has done such a great job that DC still needs to take a, you know, page out of the playbook other than the Dark Knight trilogy, is that they have one foot in reality and one foot in fantasy. And I feel like with Justice League, it's very much gonna have to be that way. You know, we wanna feel like these superheroes are tangible and real, but we also know that some of them have godly powers and that it's not, you know, it is very rooted in fantasy. So I feel like James Cameron's really good at that. He's making those real world situations or even robots like Terminator feel very realistic. True Lies, I mean, those action sequences were amazing. So I do think that he would be a great choice for this. And no, I don't think we'll ever see it. I mean, he's gonna be in Avatar land forever. And I would like to see Battle Angel a lot. I really hope that happens. Yeah, so he's very talented. I think he'd be a great fit, but I don't think we should hold our breath.
Yeah, bottom line, yeah.
Don't think we should hold our breath on that one.
Would be great in theory, but never gonna happen.
Yeah.
All right, so the last question comes from Eric Tish, and he writes, "Hi everyone, you guys are great. My question is about the upcoming Sin City sequel and its cast. Some of the actors are returning from the first one, even though their characters died in the film. On the other side, they seem to have recast Clive Owen's character and replaced him with Josh Brolin. Is this new movie a prequel to the original? And if so, will they follow the same structure as the first one? If it is a prequel, doesn't it take out the suspense?"
Okay, so this movie, from what I understand, is going to be jumping around a lot. It's a prequel of sorts, but it also takes us back to present day. There's a lot going on. Now, Josh Brolin is supposed to play a younger Clive Owen character, from what I understand as well. And Marv, well, we know, again, spoilers, this movie's been out for years, and the comics, so if you don't know about this, I'm sorry, but Marv dies, Mickey Rourke's character, and he is in this one, but to my knowledge, those are just flashbacks. So I do think they're going to be jumping around, and this is based on a bunch of different comics within this realm, and I'm really, really excited about it. I mean, this cast is insane. I loved the first one. It's definitely one of my favorite big screen graphic novel adaptations, along with V for Vendetta. I just think they were really great, and as long as Frank Miller's not the only one in the director's chair, if he's co-directing, I'm all for it, because I love Robert Rodriguez's style. So I don't think, I mean, we talked about this a lot with like Argo and spoilers and all that. Like, there are these historical movies that you know the outcome, yet if they do it in a brilliant way, if the storytelling is really well done, it still feels like you're right there with it. I felt that way with Argo. I know the ending to that. It's real life. It really happened. But I still was on the edge of my seat because I thought Ben Affleck did such an amazing job. So even with this, you know, while we might know where some of the events are leading, if they do a great job, and Frank Miller is a really great storyteller, and I think the two together collaborating is amazing, that I don't think it will take away from the magic, because it can still be done. And these films are known for their beautiful, beautiful visuals, you know? Like, I love that world. Basin City is awesome. So I'm really excited about it. This is one film I wasn't too nervous about being pushed, because they were taking precautions to just add this amazing cast and all this. So I'm really, really excited. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, the thing about Sin City is I've read the comic books, like I think almost all of them. But the thing is a lot of them are just separate stories. And in the first one, that one jumps around all over the place. And I don't want to spoil anything, but there's also something in the storyline that, even though Clive Owen has been recast with Josh Brolin, there's something in the storyline that would make sense. So I don't think that will be that jarring, because of where A Dame to Kill For, which is I think the main storyline for the second one, where it takes place, versus the Dwight storyline in the first one. I think that one's supposed to take place after. So Marv dies in the first one, and then, but we still see him, and we're still seeing him in the second one. So it's it's kind of a mishmash. I mean, the whole style of the movie is it's that different stories happening, even though visually we're seeing them on the screen happening at the same time. They're not happening at the same time chronologically or in the same, taking place at the same time.
And I'm really excited to see Eva Green join as Ava Lord. I think she's the perfect casting of that. And Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I mean, this is going to be a fun time. I think it's been worth the wait. All right, guys, that will do it for today, Saturday Mailbag. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Dennis.
Thanks.
Off my deathbed. Thanks again for all your love yesterday. I really appreciate it. And we're also going to be taking over for tomorrow's mailbag since the captain, Campia, is back in Vegas. What a surprise. Thank you so much, guys. Until then, we'll see you tomorrow.
If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to AMC Movie News on YouTube. It's free and a great way to stay updated with all the latest movie news and check out our daily show, AMC Movie Talk. Also, don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Twitter to stay in the loop for our special prizes, giveaways, and contests.